Coach, fall's in the book, a lot of scrimmages, a lot of bullpen time, but now you finally get to be out here with everyone. What's the excitement level for this team?
Good. You get out here a little bit earlier than years past because of the NCAA allowing us to do so, which is good from a ramp-up standpoint. So it's been fun. We've been building up with each week. So now we're in our second week. We're getting a little bit closer to the time we open up. So it's good. It's spring training in the winter, but good spirits, and I would say we're improving.
Every team is uniquely different. Even though it's early, still getting to know them. What have you learned about this team? What makes this team special?
I think, forget the classification of the kids in terms of how old they are, but I would say mature, handling the training environment really well. And we've had all different elements, which is kind of typical of Nashville and Tennessee, but it really hasn't slowed down the mind or the personalities or what we're trying to accomplish inside training. So good. It's enjoyable to work with. They were in the fall, but it's even more so right now, getting to know each other at a higher level, which is important. Always when you come back from Christmas break, it seems like there's a comfort level with everyone, especially younger guys, in terms of knowing what to expect and what's out here, but pretty good.
I feel like the last couple of years when you guys started up, like literally as we're talking to you, either the snow is coming down or it's already on the ground. You guys are ahead of it by a couple of days this week. What will you do to make sure that you get plenty of ample time on the field in the snow this weekend?
Yeah, I think we always anticipate that. I think when you build out your schedule, you understand that at certain times you may not be able to get out here. But we've been out, yesterday was kind of a rain day, but we were out here for 3 hours, so it really didn't matter. Knowing that if the big man puts white stuff on the field, then it's going to limit what we can do. But we're taking advantage of every day, and knowing the forecast might be a little bit tough this weekend and canceling the Vandy Fest event, which was unfortunate. But from a workout standpoint, we've been doing pretty well within that.
For your guys who missed the fall, like Max Jensen, Aiden Silman, England Bryant, are they all on track to be back for the start of the season?
Yeah, they're all back. The only one who hasn't thrown off the mound yet is Aiden, but he's getting there. England throws today. Max has been scrimmaging, so we're, knock on something, we're in pretty good shape health-wise.
Year 24 for you?
Yeah, year 24. How about that?
How about that? What excites you? What's getting your juices flowing for year 24?
Just being out here. I mean, I think mentally and physically being able to keep up and adapt, and it's, to me, it doesn't feel like 24. It doesn't, and I always have. Whether it goes back to when I first started at Presbyterian College, I don't think anything's really changed with me in terms of my focus and what I'm looking for once I get out here. Now I'm more experienced, but in terms of health, if you have your health, you have everything, right? And at age 64, it's, I'm proud and happy of that. And so to be out here and just be able to compete with them, talk with them, stay up with them, that's the key. I think, my age goes this way, but that locker room always stays the same. It's always 18, 19, and 20. So that margin of difference between me and them, even though it widens, what I'm trying to do is shrink it in age to a point where I still can do the things that they need from a coach and a leader and a mentor.
You have the construction going on in right field. Is that going to change the dimensions or the way that the ballpark plays at all?
Yeah, it'll change the dimensions. 15 feet all the way around. The fence size is taller, so it goes from 8 to 10. We've noticed it. I wouldn't say significantly, but enough. The gaps, I would say in the gaps, that's where you start to notice the differences. So there's a slight difference in the fence from last year to this year, but if you strike a ball hard enough, then it should be out one way or the other. But the only thing that's really different is the fence size from a height standpoint.
What changes have you seen in Connor from this point last year when he was sort of an unknown around here to
Fennel?
Yeah.
Oh, he's put on a lot of weight. I think 2 pounds. No, he's strength. I think strength and maturity. I think that's the one thing. And, day one, that is a common theme when you talk about guys and their success inside of a program, and we go right to it. Day one, back in August, we talk about maturity, and then from that point forward, it becomes an all-encompassing task of just leading them in that direction, because they're moving closer to manhood than they are boyhood. But the truth of it is, if maturity grows, so does an organization, so does discipline, and that shows up in the classroom and it shows up on the field. In the classroom, we did really well this fall, and I know school's a little bit different all around the country, but still, our kids are in class. They're not taking classes through a video screen in their own bed or in their own room. They're going to class and they're there and they're doing well and taking care of business. But that is being brought over here. You can see it. Recovery, taking care of their body, doing things outside of this environment to take care of their body, really helpful. And I would say, and we made this point earlier, but when I talked about Clark's team, I think the one skill that football team excelled in was health. And you think of people staying on the field. If you stay on the field, you got a chance to exceed your abilities. If you don't, then it's availability is everything. So that does become the ability, and that ability a lot of times falls on those hours, the after hours or before hours that the guys spend away from here, and they're doing a good job of that.
With Connor last year, he threw some good innings in midweek. And then was there a point where you and Brownie just kind of looked at each other and said, hey, this guy we might need to do something with him?
Yeah, I think, during the year you get that a lot, but with him it was, he's kind of that silver bullet guy that you were using like we did in Florida early in the season as a closer. But then you got to a point where you start to understand that this kid might function better if he can have the ball in his hand day or the first inning. And I think we got a couple guys like that now. Sometimes it takes some time to see that, but with him, we just made that move that instead of using him out of the bullpen, we needed for this guy to start some games. And it's very well for us, and he'll continue to be competitive. Nothing will ever stop him from that. His hunger meter is high. He wants to be good, and that matters.
Coach,
Overall, you got a few weeks.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
With the Major League collective bargaining agreement expiring, there have been talks of potentially the draft shrinking to 10, 15 rounds, as well as slashing some levels in the minor league. And, this would inherently kind of make college baseball more important as a development pipeline in general. Do you think, now with the technology and everything else going on in the sport of college baseball, that the collegiate level is become an ideal place for athletes to develop, and would you like to see it become more common for players to spend their late teens here?
Well, we've had a lot of conversations about that. Yes, I mean, I would, but I'm biased, but I need to be biased because I'm doing the same thing for a long period of time, and I haven't at any point wanted to make a move in other direction, and that's because I believe in education. I believe in this environment, and I'm not talking about Vanderbilt. I could be talking about Virginia and Texas right now. I just feel like at 18 and 19, there's certain consistencies that exist inside of a college environment that enhances the growth of athletic performance, and I'm a big believer in it. A lot of consistency here in terms of how you're showing up, the people in your life, the expectations of you. And we were on a phone call this morning about what you're talking about right here, and I think sometimes the college game, it's like the college game is all about winning more so than development. But the reality is, I would agree with that, because you have to develop in order to win. And if you don't develop, you don't win. So winning is, yes, it's the outcome, but the processes are development of the person. And development of the person, I'm all about that. I'm here for it. I mean, that's everything that I've ever wanted. I love teaching, and I'd rather be seen in their eyes as a teacher rather than a coach. The title means nothing to me. The teaching piece of it means everything to me, because those are the actions that exist inside of the environment here. So yeah, for me, I really enjoy that. I want to get the 18-year-old. We've lost players, Slater DeBrun, gamble this past year. They made that choice. Do I think they'd be better off if they were here? That's their decision, but for me, I already know. I don't have to answer that question. I know what's best for a young man. I feel very strongly about that, and I would talk to anyone in any room about that.
A few weeks to go, excuse me, before the season starts, Coach. What are the main things that you feel like you still need to learn about your group?
I think positioning, where they fit on the field. You get to a point in the fall where you're trying a lot of people at a lot of different places. You're starting to do that now too in January, but at some point in time you have to gain some consistency on the field with where they fit best. I remember going through that process in 19, with a championship team that we didn't know Ethan Paul was going to play shortstop. We didn't know to put Austin Martin or Harry Ray at second or third. It wasn't clear. Then you get to a point where it starts with more play, more gameplay, where there's clarity. So I would say that. I would say, to determine who's going to start the game as pitchers and the positioning on the field. I mean, you've got guys like Barzy who feel like Barzy's going to catch for you. And you feel like Brody's going to play somewhere. Is it third or short? Don't know yet, but you're moving closer to that. So I think those questions start to become a little bit more clear with a little bit more time on the field as we move closer to the games.
You had some younger hitters last year who really excelled in certain areas and kind of struggled in other areas. How have you seen their progression as the season gets closer? You see progression, but it's just it very much is it's a long process. It's not, these things don't happen within days or weeks. They happen within months. And I'll just use him as an example, but Riker. Mm-hmm. Riker didn't play much last year at all. He had 10 at-bats. He played behind Jonathan Vastine every day at shortstop. What was striking about Riker is his performance behind him on a day-to-day basis allowed him to get to where he is right now as a player, meaning that he just didn't take any days off. And I think sometimes as a young person, when things aren't moving in the direction that we want them to in terms of starting on the field, we start to drop off a little bit with our attention span physically and mentally. I never saw that at any point in time. He goes off to the Cape. He's, for all intents and purposes, he was the best shortstop up there this summer. But what it's done is given him a chance to get on the field, develop more confidence, develop more trust with his team. And I think that's really where it's at. I think when people trust you as a person and what you do, your confidence even grows higher than what it was. There's things you can do by yourself, but when you do them with other people and you build off of their energy, then there's a lot of great things that can happen. So I do think that that's the case for the younger guys, but in particular for him, he's really taking off.
Coach, with RJ and Vastine and Sawyer departing, who do you expect to emerge? Who have you already seen emerge, like as a leader in the locker room, both on and off the field?
Yeah, I'd say it's a lot of people. I would say I'm not being general, but yet I am, because there's a senior class, there's a junior class. I don't want to compare anyone to Mendoza at Indiana, but the reason I even bring his name up is because it's striking sometimes what one person leadership can do in just 1 year and maybe 8 months of activity on a campus. And I look at Logan Johnstone and Max Jensen and Faulkner as kids that have come into our program that are older, that have blended nicely into the group. They haven't taken over right away. They've kind of sat back, listened and watched and asked a lot of questions. But you can start to see the leadership of even older kids start to merge. Maldonado's been here, so he already knows. Mancini's been here 2 years. You're starting to see that grow. That junior class is pretty good, with Cyber and Kranzler, and I know I'm going to leave a name out, and I don't want to do that, but all of those kids have really formed together. Miller Green really formed together and created a nice harmony in the classroom, number one, because that's where words and actions start to come together, but then in the locker room too. So I like the feeling of the group. I would say it's very widespread in terms of
what it looks like. There's some kids in there that got a chance to be, I'd say, pretty good parents someday. I do. They think their thoughts and their clarity and what they do is pretty mature.
What have you seen out of Austin Nye as he enters his sophomore year?
But more maturity and more confidence. I can see him ready to take on a role, and he did last year. And I didn't see that coming. I was worried about his health last year more than anything, but it grew and grew and grew, and now, yeah, you talk about a professional. He's a professional. When he gets on the field, it's all business. He's all business in every aspect. He has a good time, but he just wants to do one thing. He wants to win, and in everything he does. But he's a very, very competitive human being, and I like him a lot.
How hard is it for him to be in that situation where he was coming back from an injury, didn't pitch the whole fall as a freshman, and then stepping into a major role on the staff right away?
Yeah, I think we would look at it that way. I guess he didn't. His lens was more about, okay, I'm getting my opportunity, I'm going to do what I can with it. And I thought Brownie did a great job with him, because I think Brownie just, he built him up. Brownie does a great job when it comes to handling the arm care of these guys, number one. But I think how he built them was very representative of how Austin pitched down the stretch. But there's even been more build, and I know we talked about this, but a lot of guys came back to work out this summer, and he was one of them, and I just think it helped all of them bind together as a group, but also from a strength standpoint, a confidence standpoint, even emerge even more. And he's a sophomore, but we can throw him in that leadership bucket too, because he's a good one.
Tim, I know every year is unique, but for the guys who are returning, obviously you live through it when it doesn't work out. Like, how much do you let the way last year ended sit and fuel for the guys who remember what it was like and what you need to do to get past that?
Yeah, try not too much, to be honest with you, Chris. I just think that if we won, would we use that as fuel? Maybe as confidence, but you just can't reside there. You can use experiences in the past, but at the same time, I can't allow these guys to think that what happened last year or the year before was, a sticking point for them. They have to really move by it. If we won a national championship last year, I wouldn't even bring it up. I wouldn't. And the way we finished last year, we had a good team last year. We really had a good team. Going into the end of the season, I don't know if anyone could see us as a number one seed. Now, from a postseason standpoint, we didn't do the things we wanted to do, but at the same time, it doesn't minimize my feelings on what we got out of that team as a whole. So I think for this team, they're doing a good job of just keeping that separate and understanding that they've got to create their own. This isn't about a Vanderbilt history for them. It's about their destiny and what they can do and how they can really build the engine of their group.
What sorts of things are you looking for when you evaluate the shortstop and center field competition?
Ball security. I feel like a football coach there. Let's not get the ball intercepted. Let's not fumble the ball. Let's not give up anything. I think that's what it is. In this conference, you just can't give outs away. If you're giving 4 and 5 outs an inning, you're going to be in trouble. So I think it's more of that. And Brody's done a much better job that way. Rigdon's getting better. Wait. That's why I like Riker. The ball sticks in his glove. And you got to think about Chris Harris over here and his cousin Brian. I mean, Brian, that's the one thing. Brian Harris, when he was here, I'm not comparing him to Riker Waite, but you say, well, I don't know what his tools are. I'll tell you what his tool is. He's focused on every pitch, and when the ball's hit to him, it sticks in his glove, and the ball always finds its way over to first base. That's really, at the end of it, can we play catch better than the other team, or just as good as we can just to preserve our defensive abilities and not give them any extra outs.